What's the worst thing you've ever done? Can you grab a piece of paper, doesn't matter what color, and then your finger, handy dandy finger, we're going to write what that is. All right, you can draw a picture if you don't know how to write words. It's okay. All right, I got mine done. Worst thing I've ever done. I'm going to share it with you. Can you share yours? I'm so glad my finger ink did not show up. How about you? Well, let's imagine for a second that all of a sudden it did, and now I know what you've done, and you know what I've done. How would you feel? I think I'd be worried about how people would judge me, and I would feel pretty ashamed because what I did is wrong. Well, there's a story in the Bible where this woman, this happened to her, but it's even worse. It's in the book of John, chapter 8. So she gets caught sinning, and this group of religious leaders know now what she's done. But then they drag her in front of a whole crowd where Jesus is teaching. And in front of the whole crowd, in front of Jesus, they say, Jesus, this woman has sinned. She has been dating married men. Now this is a big deal, right? Now everyone knows her business. But it's even worse, because then they say, God's law says that she should be stoned to death for this. That means that they're supposed to take rocks and throw them at her until she dies for that sin. Now that seems harsh. But really, they're trying to catch Jesus. What, you say? Yeah, they're trying to trick Jesus. They want him to say something against God's law, right? So that then they can then charge him and then maybe stone him. But Jesus, let's see what he does. He kneels down in the ground and he starts to draw or doodle in the ground and the sand. We don't know exactly what he wrote here. He might have been writing forgiveness, or he might have been writing a list of sins that those religious leaders had committed. We don't know. The Bible doesn't say. But they wanted an answer. And so Jesus stood up and he said, you're right. God's law does say that she should be stoned. So all of you, get your rocks. And now the first one to throw the stone should be the one who has never sinned before. Now the woman must have been like, oh no, I'm going to be stoned to death, right? But wait a minute. Jesus was actually showing gentleness. Now gentleness is a fruit of the Spirit, right? It comes from God. And how is this gentle, you say? Because actually, the way that Jesus was solving this problem was by having those religious leaders look at themselves. And had they sinned like this woman? Were they any different? They had sinned and they were no different, just like you and me are no different, right? So, what do you think happens? Actually, those leaders quietly walk away. And pretty soon it's just the woman and Jesus. And she's standing there and Jesus looks up at her and he says, where did everybody go? Did no one stay here to judge and condemn you? And she says, no, sir. And he says, well, I'm not going to do that either. You can go home now, but don't sin anymore. So what does that show us? It shows God's gentleness. It shows of how he can solve problems and treat people. And do we all sin? And yes, we do. But does he still love us? Yes, he does. Does Jesus see us any different? No, the Bible says he doesn't. And in fact, he loves us so much that he took all the stones that were meant for that woman and all the stones that were meant for all of us when he died on the cross, right? And why? So that he could be with us forever in heaven with his Father. Now that is pretty amazing. So let's show people God's gentleness and his love and his mercy. Have a blessed day.